Hi, I'm John DeTroy, Senior Consulting Engineer with Apple. Today we are going to look at the key tools for imaging Mac systems provided by Mac OS X server Snow Leopard. Snow Leopard imaging technology actually consists of three different network image types: NetBoot, NetInstall, and NetRestore. NetBoot has two meanings. First, it refers to the entire network imaging technology. Second, it refers to using a network image as the primary boot disk for a Macintosh client. You can boot Mac clients from a network disk instead of the computer's own internal hard drive. NetInstall is the process of creating a network disk image that operates as the installer for a Macintosh client or server instead of using the installation DVD. You can use a network-based disk to perform basic and custom installations. NetRestore is the process of using a pre-configured Mac as the core of a network image that will be cloned to other like systems. You can restore systems individually or use our multicast capability to clone many systems simultaneously. Each type of NetBoot image provides different uses for the network administrator. For example, you can create a repair system with all the tools needed to test, verify, and repair a Mac client, then turn that system into a NetBoot image. Instead of carrying around several FireWire or USB drives plus disk repair CDs and DVDs, you can just boot a troublesome client from the network repair disk and perform all the needed tasks. For best performance creating imaging sets, I would recommend using a system with a lot of RAM, either a Mac Pro or Xserve, since the NetBoot process improves significantly with more available RAM during both image creation and deployment. This tutorial's focus is on the basic images we would create to image and deploy many Mac clients. Let's take a minute to look at the sources and tools we will use to begin creating these images. Here I have already logged into a Mac client as the local administrator. This specific client system has the server admin tools installed and has an external FireWire 800 drive attached to support the image creation process. Our sources are these icons in the Finder window. One is the Mac OS X Snow Leopard installation DVD icon. The second is a FireWire icon showing a Macintosh HD. This is a Mac client that was set up previously with all the required software and updates installed. The computer was put into target disk mode by booting with the T key down. The primary tool we use to create NetBoot sets is the System Image utility. It's part of the server admin tools and is installed by default on any Mac OS X server or can be installed, as I did here, on any Macintosh system. Notice that when you launch the System Image utility, it shows the sources I mounted on the desktop. The sources we have will let us create one of three types of NetBoot images: a true NetBoot image, a NetInstall image, or a NetRestore image. We're going to use the Client Installer DVD to create a NetInstall set. Let's go through the steps to do this. First, we'll select the Mac OS X Install DVD in the sidebar, then select the NetInstall image button in the main window. We then click the Continue button. We can name the network disk and enter a description for it. If this image will be served from more than one server, you should check the box here. One of the strengths of NetBoot technology is speed. Multiple servers can host the same NetBoot image and a client will attach itself to the first server to respond. This will help load balance the NetBoot image across several servers, resulting in better performance for the client Macs. Let's get back to our image creation. Now we click Create and agree to the licensing agreement. Then we select the location where we want the NetInstall image to be stored. If we are creating the image on the server, we'd be able to save it directly to the proper location, but when working off of an admin system, we can just save to an external hard drive. We will save the image and authenticate as administrator, and the creation process will begin. The creation process would take several minutes, so we'll cancel this and skip right to the next image set we want to create, the NetRestore image. NetRestore will give us a NetBoot image that client systems use to boot over the network. Depending on which type of NetRestore set we create, the client can then be cloned from a single image that is part of the NetRestore image set, or the client can select one or more images stored on the network and be cloned using multicast technology built into Snow Leopard. In order to create the core part of a NetRestore image, you need to prepare a client image. We're going to use the Mac that is mounted using our target disk mode as our core image. It has already been set up with an admin account and all the needed updates and software. It's essentially our baseline computer for deployment. The tool used to prepare the image is Disk Utility, which comes with every Mac client and server. Let's look at Disk Utility and see how we set this up. In Disk Utility, I'll go to the File menu, select New, Disk Image from Folder. This lets me create a disk image of the hard drive without capturing all the free space on that hard drive. I'll select the Macintosh HD icon and click the Image button. The format will be compressed, and I'll save it to my external hard drive as Latest Client Set. Now we'll fast forward to the image being completed. The final most important step after the image is created is to select the new image in the sidebar, and under the Images menu, choose Scan Image for Restore. This sets up the image for cloning by reordering all the blocks in the file and creating what we call an Apple Software Restore image. With the image created and scanned, I can now go into the System Image Utility and create a basic Net Restore image. Let's go do that. In System Image Utility, I'll select our newly created and scanned client image from the sidebar and click the Net Restore button. Then select Continue. Now I'll name the network disk and select Create. After reviewing and agreeing to the legal agreement, I choose a save location, then sit back and watch the Net Restore set get created. The initial image is created from our source. This image is prepped for restore, then a shell image is created. This shell image will be what the client sees when it is booted over the network. Our completely configured client image will be inside that shell image. Now we'll complete the entire imaging process by turning on the NetBoot process on our server and looking at the results of our efforts. In order to do that, I need to run server admin, so let's make that happen. Connected to our server, we can select the NetBoot service and change the settings to allow our newly created NetBoot image sets to be visible on the network. We start with enabling NetBoot on the Ethernet port, then select where the images reside. When you set up a NetBoot server, the images that you create can reside on more than one hard drive. And you also set aside a place for the client data, or cache, for pure NetBoot systems. By default, a computer that uses NetBoot caches its temporary files on the local hard drive for performance reasons, but you can set NetBoot images to run without a hard drive, such as the repair disk we talked about earlier. This allows the internal hard drive to be dismounted for testing and repair. Net Install and Net Restore always boot without using a hard drive or in diskless mode, so the internal hard drive can be erased. Let's finish up our configuration. In the Images section of Settings, you can see all the NetBoot images that we added to the server. They are stored inside a special folder that was created when NetBoot was activated for the first time. Now that all of this is set up and running, let's look at how these images appear within the Startup Disk System preference. Notice that the various NetBoot images we set up are now showing as available to select for booting. In this tutorial, we have discussed basic Mac OS X Server Snow Leopard imaging options, including NetBoot, Net Install, and Net Restore. You can do a lot more with these solutions, and for more information, I suggest you have a look at the official server manuals available on apple.com, as well as the Apple Training Series manual on Mac OS X deployment. Thank you for watching.